There are a total of 18 discus fish in my tank, 9 rose reds and 9 blue diamonds. The reds were acquired sometime in April of this year at around 3 inches, while the blue diamonds were purchased at different times. Others between the months of April and May, while some were bought in July and August of this year. I got them at the size between 2 and 2.5 inches, and now most of them are 5 inches and a few 6. However, this is not the topic of my video. Since it is discus breeding season, what I will share with you is how I was able to tell which among my discus have paired up, since the ones that bonded were from the same strain. I am very much aware that discus fish reach their sexual maturity at 1.5 years old, but my discus, on my estimate, are less than a year old. But despite the case, I have seen some of them laid eggs in the community tank several times. And I also heard some cases that a successful pair was able to raise babies even at a younger age. Anyway, the first to establish a bond with my fish were both rose reds. So how was I able to tell which of them laid eggs, since they come from the same strain? I might have made a mistake of separating two different fish. So these are the few things I did to make sure that the ones I transferred in a breeding tank were the correct spawning pair. So the very first thing I did was to observe. The moment I saw 2 rose reds laid eggs, all I did was to watch and kinda expected them to eat the eggs, which what actually happened. Then, after a few days, I saw a pair of rose reds spawned again. So this time, I closely monitored which fish were spawning. But again, they come from the same strain, so how sure was I that they were the same fish that did it the first time? At this point, I tried to use a method called KDF. What is KDF? It stands for Key Distinct Features. I first heard and learned this from one, if not the most respected fish gurus in the Philippines. The technique, from how I understood it, was when a hobbyist would look for certain features of a fish that would set it apart from others. For example, in choosing datnoids, which would rather be easy because by simply looking at their bands or stripes, a hobbyist would be able to tell the difference of the same species. However, in a more complex manner, like for instance, telling apart a wild-caught fish from a captive-bred one like bitch ears, which was when I first heard of KDF, or angelfish, this technique of looking for key distinct features is highly exercised or used by fish experts. I do not know if my approach in using KDF is similar to how it was defined by the fish expert, but at least I gave it my own interpretation when I tried using it in determining which among my rose red discus had established a partnership. So I looked for certain features from my fish to tell them apart from the rest of the same strain. Now, if you'd look closer at this guy, you will notice that the anal fin is a bit jagged, unlike other rose reds in the tank. So this was what I held on to. The other half of the pair was rather more difficult, since it did not have an anal fin the same as the first fish. In fact, it looked more the same as the breast. But again, look closely at the encircled part. You'd notice that there is a hole in its dorsal fin. That tiny hole made it different from other rose reds, since it was the only one that had a hole in its dorsal. However, I did not immediately transfer the pair despite being able to point at them. I wanted to make sure that they were really an established pair because, again, I know some cases of discus switching partners. So what I did was I just gave them time to be in the community and waited. I waited for the fish to spawn a couple more times before I decided to give them privacy in their solo tank. And every time I saw a pair laid eggs, I applied my version of KDF. I looked at the anal fin of one, then the dorsal fin of the other. After 3 occasions of egg laying and after confirming that they were the same rose reds, I decided to transfer them. And here they are, currently in their 20-gallon tank, and it took them 2 weeks in there before laying their first batch of eggs. Before we end the video, remember that although we keep fish of the same species, in my opinion and from my observation of the fish I keep, there would still be certain features that would tell each one apart. We just have to be very observant to spot these distinct features. Or perhaps you can also try your own approach of using KDF or key distinct features. So here is my rose red discus pair again in their breeding tank and their babies. I again hope that you found the video informative, and please stay tuned for more informative videos to come. Please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Also, to get notified of my new videos, please turn on the notification bell. Happy fish keeping, everyone!